This is season number 19 of Bass Talk Live with Matt Pengrack. BTL is presented by Bass Cat Boats, Aftco, Strike King Lures, Sunline, Big Bite Baits, Spro, X-Zone Lures, Gamakatsu, The Bass Tank, Denali Rods, Pro Guide Batteries, Beatdown Outdoors, Shoreline Boat and RV Repair, and Omnia Fishing. Hit them with the hook, Jeffries.
PTL coming at you.
Good morning, and welcome to another exciting edition of BTL Bass Talk Live, where we are going to talk about bass fishing. Have a really cool show today. I've been meaning to get this guy on for probably a little bit, like 6 months. He shot me a DM. He said, "Hey, I hear you've been talking about the Bassmaster Open payouts and some of the payouts in fishing." He's like, "I got this deal going on." And I'd heard about it. I know that Best on Tour, the newsletter, had run some things on it. I think when it first kicked off, Bailey and the guys over at Serious Angler had Luke on to talk about his project. Diehard tournament angler who's trying to make things better for those anglers at the AAA level all the way down through the BFLs on both the boater and the co-angler side. And there's been a number of these things that have kind of, for lack of a better term, they've kind of come and gone. And that was why I wanted to do some research before I had him on. But it is Side Pot Fishing's Luke Shrader. Luke, thanks for jumping on BTL.
What's up, Matt? Thanks for having me. I'm a big fan of the show. I really appreciate everything you and Jeffries have done over the years.
Yeah. And I appreciate what you're trying to do in the industry too, because you reached out for me after okay. I didn't get this straight. I wouldn't call it it was a rant. Okay. It was a Bassmaster Opens payout rant, but I want to qualify that with, I knew what I was getting. Well, we didn't know. We actually signed up not knowing, but we knew what we were getting into, especially the 172 of us that are fishing all of them. So it's not a knock on Bassmaster. Actually, they were like, holy cow, everyone signed up. We could give them a hat and a hearty congratulations for the win. And there's really nothing you could do about it. But I've been hearing about this, and I think John Garrett, I heard Tyler Williams, bunch of guys that I've fished around at the Opens are doing this side pot fishing thing. And explain what the heck it is actually.
I think a lot of us are familiar with side pots more at the local level, your Wednesday nighter or whatever, where guys throw up some extra money towards the pot. And that's basically what side pot is, except it's set up for every BFL in the country, every Bass Open, all the Toyota series, all the invitationals. And you just have to finish ahead of the other people who are in the side pot for that particular tournament. So you're still competing against everyone who's in the tournament. And let's say 10 guys enter the side pot. In order to win the side pot, you just have to beat those other 9 guys. So you could come in 20th place overall, but still be the highest placing finisher in the side pot and take home the first place prize. It doesn't pay just one spot. It breaks down depending upon the number of entries. It starts at a 1 in 5 payback and then eventually transitions to a 1 in 10. You can only wager on yourself. You cannot bet on other people.
That'd be a Calcutta.
Yeah, we're not gambling per se.
Well, some would venture to say that bass fishing in and of itself is gambling, Luke. But so this is the deal. So I'm fishing the Keystone Weekend Series with Bobby D, also known as Robert DeGraffenreid. This Sunday. Mm-hmm. And when we sign, we'll pay up, and then they'll say, "Hey, you want to get in the side pot?" We'll be like, "Absolutely." I think the side pot's either like $20 or $50 per boat. And then that's just the extra cash payout on the side that in most cases is in the local stuff. I mean, heck, I think the side pot pays out like $1,000 and then the tournament pays out like $1,800. So this is basically the exact same theory, except it's the side pot for a Bassmaster Open that I'm in. So I'm very intrigued on this. We're going to dive into this later on as the show goes on, but that's basically the crux of, and it started when? January of 22.
Yep. So we're a little over a year old.
All right, we'll get into that. You, in and of yourself, are a diehard tournament fisherman, though. And that's what I wanted to have a discussion with someone about, because I've been taking some emails and some comments that are like, oh, the Lake Norman Red Crest was spotted bass, docks, spinning rods. Wasn't for me. And I talked with Jody White, who self-admittedly said he has an unhealthy obsession with spotted bass in Lake Norman. But I thought it was really freaking good. What are your thoughts on it? Did you watch it?
I did watch most of it. I really enjoyed it. I think it's really relatable for a lot of people throughout the country. I mean, unless you live in Texas or Alabama or maybe Oklahoma, the 20-pound bag isn't necessarily the norm. So for us guys from the Northeast, the Ohios, the areas of the country where the fishing's maybe not as good, a 12 or 15-pound bag is still hard to catch. So, I think it's relatable to what we do every weekend.
I think that's lost in the fact, and I mentioned this a little bit yesterday, was they really listen to their anglers and I think the fans as far as the format for Red Crest. And if you looked at the interviews with Thrift and Jacob Wheeler and Alton Jones Jr. and Connell and all these guys who made that top 10, dude, they were freaking exhausted by the end of this thing. It was 5 consecutive days under all sorts of weather conditions, making it through 3 cuts, but still maintaining cumulative weight for 3 consecutive days to end the event, which I would remind you is exactly what is going to happen in a week and a half in the Bassmaster Classic. Cumulative weight, 15 bass after 3 days, except tack on 2 more days at the start of this thing at Red Crest. Like, if you have a MLF bias, take that out of the equation. 5 consecutive days, 40 angler field. Dude, those guys were whipped.
Yeah, I know. Even personally, like a 2-day event is doable. But then once you get to 3 days, it really becomes like a marathon, and it's hard to wake up that 3rd day. So 5 days, that's really impressive. And I'm glad to see them make the changes with the cumulative weight, both on the BPT, but also on the invitational side. So it's good to know that angler feedback's getting through.
100%. So here's a couple other things that I really liked about it. They knew what the other guys had.
Yeah.
That is a drastic element. And we were like, oh, well, that might lead to more risk taking. And who among us doesn't like to see someone else take a gamble, make a run, tie on a big chunk of wood? And I think we saw that with the majority of the field, either throw in a big mag draft style bait or a glide bait, which is something that the cumulative weight in the 5 fish limit, and knowing that Brian Thrift was in the lead or that Alton Jones Jr. had jumped out to a lead, like those were 2 elements that I really liked about it as well. I mean, just watching guys take gambles, knowing what the payoff is instead of trying to guess.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I think they originally thought that they were going to lose some of that drama by eliminating the every fish counts format, but I think I would wager to say that it's probably more dramatic and it keeps everyone kind of in it to a certain extent. Obviously, Norman, the ceiling might be like a 6 or 7 pounder. There's only a few of them swimming around, but anyone can make a comeback, really. The
more I watch Norman, and I fished in open there, was it last year or 2021? Whenever they had, I think it was 21 when they had the Bassmaster Open there. And I had a good event. I finished in the top 25. But what I found about that place, and it was in the fall, but these guys did it too. Have you ever fished Norman, Luke?
I've been there for 1 or 2 days.
Dude, there's magic docks on that lake.
Yeah, the dredge docks apparently are the juice.
Yeah, but even within the dredge docks, there are certain docks that will harbor like schools of 3 to 5 pound spotted bass. And I found like 3 of them in that Bassmaster Open. I went through one in practice, caught a gorgeous 4-pounder off of it, went back in the tournament and caught an ugly 3 3/4 pounder off of it. So I knew it was a different fish. Right. Then I went back on day 2. I caught a 12-incher, and I couldn't figure out what was special about this dock. It just looked like every other dock that was dredged out. And I pulled 10 spotted bass between 3 and 5 pounds out with that 12-incher. And I did that on numerous docks. It's crazy how just certain docks have schools of giants underneath it. And Norman's like the only place I've seen that is like that. You fish 100 of them, and then like one of them, and they'll live on that dock, I guess, indefinitely.
Yeah, I don't know. Those spots do seem to group together maybe a little more than largemouth. And I'm sure Brian Thrift has all those docks waypointed by now.
I thought it was cool. Thrift did not have his limit until late in the into the second period on the final day, and actually ran up the river, which is something that that he really hadn't done all week. We've seen a lot of guys stay down lake, the wacky rig, the jerk baits and stuff, and threw a chatterbait. So it was Thrift on the bait that he kind of put on the map, on the lake that he considers his number one A+ prime rib lake, blowing the field out. And then the other thing that stuck out to me was we had Casey Ashley on a little over a month ago on BTL, and I wasn't even planning on going into the X's and O's with Casey. And he did like a 20-minute little seminar on shaky heading. And I know he caught some on a jig, but he caught the majority of his weight over those 5 days on a shaky head. And it was cool to see him go to work with a freaking shaky head.
Yeah, I'm a big shaky head guy myself. I actually listened to that Casey Ashley interview, and I'm still using the screw lock, so I haven't really figured that out yet. But I know he's big anti-screw lock.
Yeah, which screw lock are you using?
I think the big bite one, actually.
Okay. Well, that's got a good Gamakatsu hook in it.
Yeah.
I kind of go back and forth. There's on a bigger worm, like on a fat worm or a trick stick style bait, I'm still use a screw lock, but I literally like reevaluated some of how I was fishing because of that Casey Ashley interview.
Yeah.
And I have to say at Eufaula at this most recent Bassmaster Open, I had not legitimately like consciously thrown a shaky head, like on the ball head with the 6-inch worm light in years. Like I honestly had not done it. It had either been the Necker rig or a short drop shot or a Ned. And I thought it had eliminated the need for the shaky head. I caught 3 of my 10 wayfish on a straight up Casey Ashley shaky head, Eufaula. And 2 of those were my biggest fish of the week. So I'm getting ready for Toledo Bend. God, if I'm throwing it at Toledo Bend, we're in trouble. But we've got Bugs Island. We've got some tougher fisheries. Yep. I have completely built a new shaky head box, and it is back in the boat for the remainder of the year.
It's got a bigger hook than some of those other finesse tactics. So I feel like you can throw it on a 12-pound leader and hit them pretty good and get them out of where you need to.
Yeah, that's good. So you've got an interesting – dude, you're all over the map.
I am.
Like I'd heard about, I knew who you were, but as I started to do research when you came on a little pre-show meeting, I was like, now, where do you live and what exactly? And you're like, well, I'm in Wisconsin now, but I'm from the East Coast, have a deal in New Jersey, but recently moved to Kentucky. Is that right?
That's right. I feel like fishing the NPFL that first year sort of started a whirlwind that hasn't really stopped yet. I sold my house in New Jersey at the time and basically lived out of my truck for like 8 months. That first year fishing the NPFL, and then really haven't like settled down into a particular spot yet. I got to fish a lot of the country. I own a house in Maryland still, but I rent that out almost full time. And then I recently bought a place just near Cumberland in Kentucky. So a little closer to the fishing mecca there. It feels great to be within like 3 or 4 hours of almost every major lake. So
yeah, you spent a lot of time on Cumberland yet?
Not yet. A handful of days. Fished maybe 2 local tournaments.
Dude, I love that place. Anywhere you can do spots, smallies, and largemouth in the same fishery outside of the Ozark region, there's not very many fisheries that you can really target all 3 of those species and have a winning tournament bag with a mixed bag.
Yeah, I feel like that's kind of the way to go, is the mixed bag.
I'm trying to think. Cumberland, like if I was to name the top 5, I think Texoma would have to be number 1 as far as a mixed bag lake. Smalley, spots, largemouth.
Table Rock's going to be up there.
What's that?
Table Rock would have to be up there too.
Yeah, I think Table Rock would have to be number 1.
Yeah.
If you're looking just for pure size, though, like you're more likely to catch a 3-pound spot, a 5-pound smallmouth, and a 6-pound largemouth on Texoma. But spots typically don't play that much. But yeah, Table Rock is definitely on that list. I would put Cumberland in there. And then surprisingly, Eufaula in Oklahoma, where the NPFL is going, the Toyota Series is going, and the Bassmaster Opens are going all in the same year. I think you're going to see a lot of mixed bags at Eufaula, but unless I'm
Alabama has some better spots than average now too. And same thing happened into Guntersville. I see a lot of 3 and 4 pound spots coming out of Guntersville these days.
Dude, I had no idea like that existed in Eufaula, Alabama. It was a weird deal for me because I was trying to wrap my head around, okay, we're literally connected to Seminole, like through the dam right there. So it's like a Florida fishery in some ways. You could stay on the top end and punch and grass and all that. But then it turns into like what felt like more TVA-ish down on the bottom end. And then on day one, you know, I pitch it, my drop shot up to a dock post with like 30 minutes left. And it's like, zoop, zoop, zoop. And I'm like, it's a catfish. And it's like a 3.5 pound spotted bass.
Bonus.
And I mean, just a blimp. And I'm like, where in the heck did this thing come from? And then you see some of the weights. I think Kent had like three big spots in his 19-pound bag.
Really?
Yeah. But yeah, that's a sneaky good spotted bass lake. And at Guntersville, you're right. Especially when you get down towards that lower end in the dam and some of the bluffs, you're seeing some bigger spots and an occasional smallmouth out of Guntersville as well.
Yeah.
So. All right, but let's get back to it. So you are you fished that inaugural year of the NPFL.
I did.
Is that where the, I guess, genesis for side pot fishing kind of originated, where you kind of started thinking about ways to help these, for lack of a better term, AAA level anglers that aren't competing on the BPT or the Bassmaster Elite Series?
Pretty much. I would say it was after that first year, looking at the second year and just kind of weighing my options as far as what was out there and what was available, and really starting to do the numbers to, just see what is worth it, for lack of a better term. And then was kind of surprised / appalled, shocked, or whatever, when you really start to dig into the math and look at some of the numbers on this. And it's interesting that not many people are really talking about it. You hear people sort of complain about the idea that the payouts have gone down over the years, but numbers are still way up on all these circuits. I mean, the Toyota Series gets over 200 boats. The Open's obviously filled up. BFLs are doing great. And it's more expensive than ever to compete, but you're really competing for a lower prize.
Do you have any of those numbers? I think you were throwing some percentages out at me before where I was like, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, I did. I went ahead yesterday. I did all the math. Anyone's welcome to fact check me on any of this. But the Bass Opens, as advertised on the website, we'll start there. Based upon 200 boats, it is 71% payback, which I don't think that the payback number necessarily resonates with everyone. But to put that into perspective, of the $1,800 entry fee you pay, $1,278 of that goes towards the actual prize payout. And $522 would go to Bass as a operating fee, glorified membership fee, whatever you want to call it.
I'm pulling out my calculator on my phone. And I know it is, I mean, especially with what Bass is doing this year on the Opens, they have a massive overhead just to cover with all the photographers and all that. So
yep, they have a business to run too. So
let's just say do it based on 200, which is rough. Dang, that's $104,000.
Yep, I have it as 105,000 written down on mine.
Wow. Do you have that for the invitationals or the MPFLs or any of that stuff?
So at the invitationals, you're looking at 82.26%.
Oh, wow.
And the NPFL is a little tricky because it has a championship event. So you kind of have to retroactively add that championship money back in. On an individual tournament basis, the NPFL would be 71.28% payback. But when you factor in that 250,000 total that they give away to the 25 anglers, sort of divide that by 6 tournaments, add that into the tournaments, it'd be looking at 81.96% payback when you factor in the championship money. And when you factor in the Angler of the Year money, it goes up to 82.28%.
Okay, so it's roughly...
It's almost identical to the invitationals.
On the of the invitationals for 2023, the one that they got dinged for their payout restructuring.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's almost identical to the NPFL with our 100K first place. It's just distributed a little bit differently.
Now we're getting into the meat. This is the stuff I find interesting. All right. What about the Toyota Series?
Toyota Series, based on 160 boats, would be 71.3% payback on an individual tournament basis. Now they have a championship as well, so you need to sort of do all the math on that. So what I did is I added up the championship money and then divided it by 18 events because there's 18 regular season Toyota Series events, and then that comes to $30,000 per event. So you add that back into the payout, and it brings it right around 80%.
So that seems like kind of the standard, especially if you add the championships and Angler of the Year payouts and all that, 80%. Are there any others that you ran the numbers for?
I did. I ran it for the BFLs, and that's where
all right. Hit us with it.
Really starts to get ugly. For an average BFL based on 200 boats, they bring in $44,000 total paid in. Now, if you fished any sort of MLF tournament recently, you know that there is a 3% credit card fee that seems to be relatively unavoidable. So I think we need to factor that into the entry fee. So it's over $45,000 paid in and $30,000 paid out. So that brings you to 68% payback before the credit card fee. But when you factor in that 3% credit card fee, you're looking at 66.1% payback for an individual BFL.
Now you have a chance to go on to a regional and then the All-American.
You do. So you're fishing for something a little greater, but
I guess you are in the opens too. You're fishing for the classic.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. 60. Wait a second. BFL 66%.
Yeah. So of your $220 entry fee, $149.60 goes towards the payout. Now, keep in mind, It's also a $95 membership fee for the year. So I did the math on, let's say you're going on vacation and you want to sign up for one BFL. It would cost you $321.60, I believe, to fish that BFL, and still $149.60 of that would go to the payout. So if you just want to fish one BFL, you're looking at roughly 46% payback based upon your investment.
Luke, that's not good.
It's not good.
I mean, unless you're Sean Goodwin or Dickie Newberry.
No, I mean, there's always the hope that you're going to win. Yeah. We're all chasing that carrot, but when you get down to the finances and just the rationality of it all, it doesn't necessarily make sense.
All right. So
and I think we all assume like that we're working our way up the competitive ladder, but I bring it all back to like the 80% open buddy that's down at your local lake that's a charity or a fundraiser for a club, that's 80% payback and you get to sleep in your own bed. That really becomes a much better value when you start to break it down.
All right. So industry standard, based on what you would say, is around 80% payback. Now,
maybe lower, but yeah.
Okay. So here's my question, and I don't know if you have these numbers or not, but what grinds my gears is the depth of the payout field. I feel like optically, it may not be as much, but you're looking at a 71.28% in the opens with a 71.3 in the Toyotas, roughly jumping that to an 80% payback in the Toyotas when you factor in the championships and all that. But it seems to me like the Toyotas pay way deeper into the field than the Bassmaster Opens do. Bassmaster is top 40. Doesn't matter if 41 show up. Doesn't matter if they max out at 230. They're just paying top 40. Toyotas, though, pay based on the percentage of how many anglers are in the field, right?
That's correct. Toyotas pay 1 in 4, so 25% of the field. BFLs pay 1 in 5, which would be 20% of the field.
And then Bassmaster. So if there's 230, which is what there is, they just base it on 200, but there's 230. That's 17% of the field.
Yep.
And then what's the MPFL? Is that a slide? Is that per angler too?
They're paying 20 out of the 75 or 78 that they have. So it looks like they're paying better than 1 in 4, closer to 1 in 3.5 almost.
And you said BFL's 20%. It's
20.
just not very much. I mean, you're doing that whole thing like, hey, I cashed a check and you're barely getting your entry fee back.
Yep. The last check is actually less than the entry fee.
So what I'm just comparing all these. I find this stuff interesting. And I'm, as a AAA level angler, I'm shocked that I didn't have all this stuff mapped out before. Because if I'm spending all of these tens of thousands of dollars every year, you'd think you would want to know like where it's going, right? Like we're not ripping on any organization. These are just cold hard facts.
Yep.
So you're what? And then what's the invitational?
Invitational, I think, pays the top 40 or 50. I'm not sure. I have to look it up. I think it's the top 50 out of 150.
We'll look that up right there. Let's do results. Let's do Tackle Warehouse Invitationals 2023. Let's look at Clark's Hill. 150 anglers in that. They paid the top 50.
Yeah, so 1 out of 3.
1 out of 3. So by far, the Bassmaster Opens is the lowest payback.
Yeah.
As far as percentage of what you're getting back. Now, what you are getting in the Opens is if you do finish in the top 40, you are actually breaking even and making a little bit of money, because I believe that the payout for that 40th place was over $3,000. I want to say it was like $3,400 for 40th place.
About accurate.
If you go to the most recent Toyota series, that was the 16th on Gunnersville, it paid down to 65th place, but that last place check in 65th was only $2,000. So if you're on a $1,500 entry fee plus whatever you want to have for credit card fees on it and membership, which Bass has that too, you are basically just covering your entry fee back. And then you're all the way up to where you hit the 3,400 mark. You're almost all the way up in the top 20.
Yeah.
Whereas, like I said, the Bass, you're making a little bit more, and then only the top 7 hit $10,000.
Matt, did you happen to look at the co-angler payouts for the Open?
Ooh, no, I'll do that next.
I might fuel your fire a little bit. I thought it was interesting that they paid 40 co-anglers out of 116.
That's what I'm saying. With Bassmaster, it's 40. It doesn't matter who shows up. It's 40. It's always 40.
Yeah, and I'm all for paying as many spots as possible, but that might be a little bit too much, actually.
Yeah, so wait. Their pro payout is like almost 1 in 6, and the co-angler payout was like 1 in 2.5.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
It is.
Comparing all these, we're talking evenly about the MPFLs, the major 3, the MPFL, the MLF, and the Bassmaster Opens. All right, let's look at this. Let's look at the tournament results. UFALA results, co-angler. And that's what is it $400 entry fee?
I think it's $475, but I could be wrong.
Okay. Yeah, so for 40 out of 117 got paid.
Yeah.
But
1 and 3.
In order to make your money back, you had to finish in the top 25. And then it still paid 13, 3, 2, 1, 7, 1, 6, 1, 5, 1, 4, 1, 3, 1, 2. So $1,000 down to 12th place, which is over double your money.
Yeah.
Interesting. So that's kind of where all this is coming from. And I'm going to tease this. We're going to take our first break of the show. And when we come back, that kind of sets the table for diving into Side Pot. And full disclosure, I'm not a sponsor of BTL. I've talked to you on Instagram and social media and stuff, but like I said, I've talked to Tyler Williams. I knew that John Garrett had it. I've talked to a couple different guys about it, and was like, dude, I need to start dropping 200 on each one of these Bassmaster Opens. And then you look at it, and the more guys you get into it, the higher the payback is.
Yeah, I think if all the anglers could sort of, gather around it, I think you'd see an incredible impact, really.
Any other numbers before we get into the groundwork, a side pot that you've put together that our listeners might find interesting?
I think that's pretty much everything I had in my notes.
All right, good stuff. We're going to take our first break of the show. It is Tuesday, March 14th with Luke Shrader from Side Pot Fishing. We'll be back right after this.
The new Puma STS has been redesigned from the ground up. With the angler, design, function, and performance in mind, nothing on this new offering was compromised, and the only thing carried over from the previous version is the name. Based on the Soft Touch series hull that started with the flagship Jaguar, this new model is nimble and performs incredibly well at all speeds with either a 250 or 300 horsepower engine. Featuring a new 96-inch wide-body footprint, this hull measures out at 20 foot 7 inches in length. Industry-leading design coupled with tournament-winning performance. The Puma STS from Basscat. Feel the rush.
Everything you need, one legendary brand. Top on Strike King.
So I'm a big guy, you know, a lunker, a two-sandwich eating kind of man. And on behalf of all of those bigger, I gotta say it once and for all, it's bad enough that the fish look smaller in our hands. The last thing we should have to worry about is getting quality outdoor clothing that fits. Avco, any fish, any water.
Elite Series Pro Daryl Gleason here. My Pro Guide batteries keep me going on those long tournament days and long practice days. Always plenty of juice, never fail. The best part about Pro Guide batteries, it's the people behind the company. They have over 40 years experience in the battery business, keeping all of us fishermen out on the water longer, catching more fish. Check them out at ProGuideBatteries.com.
What's up, Bass Talk Live fans? Brandon Polnick here. And ever since I won a couple Bassmaster Elite Series events on X-Zone Lures, I've been getting a bunch of questions of what makes them so special and different. And really, the truth is, it's in the details. The little details, things like no cheap fillers in their plastic. That gives you more lifelike action, more realistic and vibrant colors. But don't just take my word for it. Go to www.xzonelures.com and check them out for yourself.
Are you looking to install your own fishing electronics? The solution is the Bass Tank Power Harness. It takes the guesswork out of installation. No more voltage issues or interference. Designed by an engineer so that you can get professional results right there in your own garage. Installation done right with the help of the Bass Tank Power Harness. You can feel confident knowing that your installation was done right. The Bass Tank Power Harness. Give us a call or order yours today at thebasstank.com.
Get the best patterns backed by tournament data. Start by finding the best 10% of your lake. Know exactly what to look for and what to throw. After that, just put them in the boat. Try the Deep Dive app today.
Look at that beast right there.
All right, welcome back, BTL, on a Tuesday, talking AAA numbers with Side Pot Fishing's Luke Shrader. And I would like to point out, and as I have pointed out on multiple BTLs before, that all these organizations are for-profit organizations. We're not talking about non-profit here. I fully expect them to make a profit. In fact, I want the organizations to make a profit, because the more profit they make, the better they are, the more they put back into the anglers, the more they establish us as brands. It's a delicate dance, right?
Yep.
Because you have some anglers that are just there to straight make money on tournaments. And we're fishing for each other's money. I mean, the BPT tried the no entry fees and all that, dude. They're paying an entry fee now. In tournament fishing, from the dawn of time, when Ray Scott started the thing, it's show up, put your money down, and take your buddy's money because you caught more fish than him. It's a beautiful thing. We all know exactly what we're signing up for. But then there's also, and I would fall into this category where, I make my living in the industry. A portion of that is through the tournaments. I don't make any money on every year. Like, I'm not turning a profit on straight earnings, right? So I want that organization to be robust, to be healthy, to have the funding, to have those photographers there, to have the highlights, to have the shows, to show my value, to get it out to the viewers. So it's a it's a delicate dance between the angler and the organization and the payout and the structure.
Yep.
So this is kind of where Side Pot comes in, because this is completely independent, not associated with any organization, correct?
Yep. Fully angler owned and operated, as I say, but it's pretty much just me. It's a one-man band. I handle everything myself, whether it be building the website, updating the website, social media, responding to email inquiries, anything like that, mailing out the checks. That's all me.
All right, have at it. What exactly it is? I've got it pulled up here. I'll share the screen. And let me see what I got here. We've talked a little bit about it, but basically it's what, $200, or does it vary on what the entry fee is per event?
It varies depending upon the tournament. So it's $200 for a boater at the Opens, Invitationals, or Toyota Series level. It's $100 for either a boater or a co-angler at the BFL level, and $100 for a co-angler at the Toyota or Open level.
So there it is right there. Bass Opens, Invitationals, MPFL, Toyota Series, BFLs, ABA, ABT, Bass Nation, College, Kayak, and then other side pots. Oh, Minnesota Bass Series.
Yep.
So if you fish any one of those, you are eligible for side pot fishing.
That is correct. And once again, you're only competing against other people who are in that exact tournament as you.
All right. So co-anglers and boaters. This is also key. So $100 like on a Bassmaster Open side for a co, $200 for a boater. Let's do a BFL, because there's way more people that listen that do BFLs.
Yep. So they're all sorted by division there. And I've tried to make everything as simple as possible so anyone can sort of figure it out. There is no membership required. I think that's maybe like the misconceptions that people have. There is no commitment. You literally just sign up for that particular side pot for the tournament that you're fishing.
Okay. So if I'm fishing the BFL Archie division.
Yep.
And I'm fishing DeGray Lake on the 25th.
Yeah.
I literally just go in, click it.
Mm-hmm.
It has the payout down here.
Yep.
And how long? So this is the other thing. You can actually sign up for this like during practice if you get on them.
You can. You could actually sign up the morning of. I'm pretty much closing registration before the tournament starts. In theory, I'd love to close registration earlier to sort of eliminate that practice factor. I think we talked about it a little bit behind the air or before, in regards to how practice and your preconceived notions can sort of, dictate how confident you are. And I think we're all probably experienced to know now that your practice really does not dictate how your tournament's going to go. So some people will not sign up for the side pot because they had a not so great practice, and then they end up.
I did that. I 100% did that. So at Lake Eufaula, horrible practice. Ended up, I would have finished out of the entries in side pot. I would have paid $200. Mm-hmm. No registration fee or anything, right?
Right. Yep, that all comes out of my pocket.
It would have literally just been $200.
Yep.
And I would have gotten $383.
Pretty much, yep. And you would have been second out of 6 guys.
I would have out of 6 guys.
Yeah.
So I would have made $180, which would have been my fuel for the entire tournament.
Yeah.
And the only reason I didn't was because I didn't sign up.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's get back to this BFL here. So then this is 90%. Oh, that's better than any of the paybacks in the entire organizations. So it's a 90. Is that a 90% payback across the board, regardless of which
90% across the board? It's pretty much the best value that I think you can get in modern tournament fishing.
1 to 5, 1 angler paid. 6 to 10, 2 anglers paid. 11 to 15, 3 anglers paid. And then it has the percentages next to it all right here.
Yep.
And then as you go up in anglers, the percentages go down a little bit.
As far as how much the winner gets proportionally, yeah, because it gets distributed throughout the field, but it's still based upon that 90% feedback, 90%
payback. But 1 in 5. Okay. So you're pay. So let's say, okay, I've done all the math here. Let's say I am spending I spend about $3,700 per open between my $1,800 entry fee, my room and board, food, gas, lodging. It's right. Averages around $3,700. This is just $200 additional dollars, and now I have the potential for, well, what are your sample payouts right here? Hold on.
So you could bring that up for everyone. But let's say 200 guys actually decided to do it for the opens. Everyone decided to back the concept. You'd be getting an extra $14,000 for first, an extra $6,000 and change for second, $3,000, and so on. So for minimal, what is it, like less than 10% more investment overall?
Yeah.
You're looking at like potentially 25 to 50% more winnings.
Wow. And then in a BFL, so if 100 guys did it at a BFL, you're basically winning as much as you would win in the BFL.
Yeah,
on the side pot.
Half of the entry fee, or less than half of the entry fee, because it's $100 for the side pot and $220 to get in the tournament itself.
All right, here's my question, Luke. You mentioned, I think, 6 guys signed up for the Eufaula Open. Why have not more guys jumped on board on this?
I'm not sure. I think as an angler, I can totally sympathize with there's a lot going on right before the tournament. I think a lot of people just generally forget. I'm not really a salesman, or I don't want to be too pushy, so I don't want to be reminding everyone or feel like I'm swaying people to enter the side pot, when in reality, maybe they just genuinely forgot to enter. I think there are maybe some trust issue factors based upon some past incidents that have occurred in the industry. If you don't know me personally, I can sort of understand that, but I think being in the industry and being so involved and fishing so many tournaments still, I would think that it sort of eliminates some of that.
Yeah, and like I said, we're not like buddies, but I do know people who have gotten the side pot payouts. Yeah. And you actually show what you're mailing out. I follow you on social media and stuff and have the payouts and the pictures for every single one. So, I'm going to sign up for the Toledo Bend Bassmaster Open that starts on the 13th. It seems like, dude, if you get 20 guys in it, you're paying 50 per. So let's say, what would the payout be if 20 guys signed up? Let's say you could get 20 guys from the opens that signed up, because you're paying 4 spots out of 20 then, right?
Yeah, I'd have to do the math real quick.
Because I'm looking at the
3,600 would be the total purse, but I'm not sure what the breakdown is for first place.
So it'd be 50%.
So you'd get $1,800 then if you beat those other 20 guys.
And you could finish in 20th place if the 19 guys finish behind you.
You could. I think there's definitely a misconception that you need to be at the top of the leaderboard to win the side pot. And I have written people checks for 100th place finishes. So,
dude,
if you
this makes sense. If you're in it, you want more guys in it to have more spots paid and a higher percentage. So if you have a good derby, you're making more money.
Yeah, absolutely. You could look at the last Open. Tyler Williams won it, and he came in 26th overall. So there's 25 guys who missed out on basically $1,000 by not signing up for the side pot.
And like I said, I missed out on it because I finished 47th overall, and I would have been the next finishing highest side pot signed up angler.
Yep.
All right. I think it's cool. I think it's a great way to add, and I think it's a great way to add maybe some extra money to your pocket. This kind of was based on you fishing the MPFL and fishing at the open level and the Toyota level and all that, and being like, dude, we need to have a side pot.
I don't want to fish for 70% of my own money is the reality of the situation.
Yeah, I do agree with Clay. There's a couple guys that I really don't want to know about this. that seem to be always in the top.
Yeah.
That are always in the
There's
top.
some of those guys that do know about it and they still don't sign up. So I don't know.
What's your plans for fishing? I said it says you fish over 400 events, which is 25 a year since 2006. So you're a derby junkie.
Yeah, I used to fish every weekend and still probably do. Last year I fished just the Northern Opens. This year I'm actually fishing the Central Toyotas as a co-angler. So I got Lewis Smith in a couple days. Probably going to fish some BFLs as a boater as well. Trying to get involved with the Bass Nation again. I was really involved with that In New Jersey, I made the Bass Nation Championship one year. Really loved what they did back in the day. Obviously, that's not quite the same now, so we'll see how that all shakes out. But I think it's still
you don't like it. I didn't get a great vibe. You're not a huge fan of the new Bass Nation format, or?
I like it. I just think it's I guess it's more inclusive, but that also makes, I don't know, less special when you get there, if that makes sense. So I think for someone who wants to sort of cherry pick or wants to compete in some other tournaments, I think it makes it easier. So
no, 100%. For a guy like me, it makes it easier to sign up and then try to get to the regional and then the national championship. But at the same time, I like the standardization across the country of, hey, you could still do however you want to make your state team to get your numbers, but then you can fish those regionals. You can make the national champ. Yeah, the national championship. You said you've been there. What year did you go?
I think it was 2019. It was on Pickle.
Okay. Yeah, so you were after. So I made it in 16 and 17, and it was, I would say, like right at the start of where you stopped like getting the royal treatment. Like it was still great. They had the dinner, and we got, I got a jacket, but you talk to those guys who did it in like the 2000 to 2015, even before, especially before the split with the TBF, and it was like, dude, you felt like a freaking king when you went to that thing. You just walked out with just swag packs. I think those days are done. I mean, the days of the plaques, you're gonna have 250 guys in the national championship now. But my thing with that is, man, you got to be in it to win it.
You do.
And I mean, I'd rather be in it with 250 boats than not in it with 60.
Right. I agree.
So anyway, all right. If people want to ask you more questions, if they want more information on this, want to pick your brain before they sign up or anything, it's just sidepotfishing.com, right?
Yep. The website's super easy to navigate. My cell phone number is listed on there as the business phone, so feel free to call or text me at any time. Happy to answer any questions. One of the obstacles I know I've been dealing with is you get a lot of how many people are entered in it questions. And you'll know as a fisherman, we all tend to sort of wait till the last minute to do things. So the majority of the entries end up coming in like the night before when guys are laying in bed. So, any ability to sign up a little sooner really allows me to sort of hype it up or, build the hype about it.
Well, I'm going to give it a shot. I mean,
it makes sense. I mean, I hate to just shake my head at $200 and act like it's nothing, but in the reality, it's kind of a drop in the bucket compared to how much else you're spending. And you're competing for 71% of your money. So for you to invest a little more at 90% when you already have all of these sunk costs, like your travel expenses, I think it really makes sense.
I know I left money on the table at Hartwell. John Garrett finished ahead of me. And then I also, I think I potentially left some money on the table at Sam Rayburn. Had a 30th place finish there. And then, so like 3 out of my last 5, and then you add that up, that'd be like $600-700. So
yeah, I think it really has the potential to sort of transform the industry. I mean, you can look at the BFLs, and if everyone just signed up for the side pod, you'd basically be fishing for $14,000, for the $7,000 you'd win in the side pod and the $7,000 you'd win in the regular payout. And you'd be paying a $300 entry fee total. So there's not many opportunities where you could, win 14 grand or on a $300 entry fee.
I like it. Also on, you do Instagram, Facebook, all that stuff too, if they want to slide into your DMs there.
Yep. That's me doing it all.
All right. Or you can just go and sign up if you're chill with everything. Luke, what else you got?
Not a whole lot. I appreciate you having me on the show for sure.
No, it's good stuff. I understand it more. I'm one of those guys I'm skeptical of all this stuff right off the hopper. You know what I mean?
I get it.
I'm signing up.
Do it.
I appreciate it. All right, dude. You have a good day and good luck fishing.
Thank you, Matt. I appreciate it.
All right. See ya.
See you, man.
All right, that was Luke Shrader from Side Pot Fishing. Interesting dude. Obviously a numbers guy, has head around it. And I just know based on building a website and having on the back end, he has put a lot of sweat equity into this. So worth a shot. I thought his stats and numbers were real interesting as far as the percentages and the paybacks. It's amazing to me. You've got thousands of guys who do this and who put their blood, sweat, tears, and hard-earned money into it, me included, and then aren't up to date on like where exactly their money is going. So, all right, we're going to take a final break of the show. When we come back, we have some time, some dates, some information on the Bassmaster Classic, which is rapidly approaching. Also, the BPT back in action, and the NPFL kicking off their third season on Pickwick. So we'll talk about all that stuff when we come back. It's Tuesday on BTL. We'll be back right after this.
The great thing about the new Sensation soft plastics from Big Bite Baits, heavily scented, super soft, buoyant, comes in 7 great new shapes. I've got a couple of them of my signature series, the cliffhanger worm and the ramtail craw. Great for a flipping jig, football jig, swim jig, all that. Several other great shapes. Really excited about it. We've worked over the last year, catches fish all over the country, and I think it's going to catch fish for people everywhere you try it.
The Spro Little John crankbait has been around for almost 15 years, and it is one of my go-to crankbaits whenever I need a fish in the boat, so you can never have enough new colors. That's why Spro's coming out with a handful of new colors, including Pearl Shad, which has this bleached out white look, but it's got this pearlescent, really pretty. We've got Copper Shad, which looks amazing in the water. It's got that purple flake on the back, really pops in the water. And then if you want some real pop, we've got Sparkle Shad, nothing but sparkles all over this thing. And then last but not least, we've got the matte Sexy Shad, just a really different looking color for a crankbait. So you want to give them a little different look, that matte Sexy Shad is definitely the one to go with. All these colors are available in the original Little John and the MD.
Have you considered purchasing new electronics for your rig? The type of mounts you choose to protect your investment should be part of the decision-making process. No matter if you prefer 1, 2, or 3 graphs up front, Beatdown Outdoors has a solution for you. Adjustable, versatile, rigid, and made in the USA. What's your ultimate electronics setup? Check out the full selection of Beatdown Outdoors products by visiting beatdownoutdoors.com. Shoreline Boat and RV, dock rash, storm damage, collision repair, that deep scratch or gouge from trying to access that secret creek. Shoreline Boat and RV can get your prized possession back in mint condition and looking good on the water, fast. All repairs are done in-house, so they're able to get your boat or RV back to brand new, quickly. All Shoreline's work comes with a rock-solid warranty. Find out more at ShorelineBoatandRV.com. Kansas City, Austin, and Tulsa.
Having confidence in your tackle while on the water is one of the main things to success, in my opinion. In the last couple of years with Denali, I've had just that. From anything from spinning rods, casting rods, tungsten products, even now to casting and spinning reels, I have the confidence to go out there and get the job done and know that all my equipment is going to handle it and do it just the way I want it. The thing about Denali is you've got great quality products at a great price point, so make sure you check them out. I'm the kind of guy that never leaves the house without a pocket knife, and Gamakatsu's come out with the EDC series of knives. EDC stands for everyday carry, so whether you're on the water or off, you can always have it with you. The best thing about it to me is that assisted open feature. With this D2 blade, you've got it right here at your fingertips, so if you can't find your scissors, you need to cut a knot, you need to cut your braid, you've always got it. Make sure you check it out. Never leave home without your Gamakatsu EDC knife.
Born in Japan, using technology, innovation, and precision, Sunline produces the widest selection of fishing lines at the most technologically advanced line factory in the world. Manufactured at the strictest tolerances to produce victories at the highest levels of tournament bass fishing. From household names like Christie, Swindle, and Cruz, to young guns like Cook, Logan, New, and Welcher, they all trust Sunline to take them to the top of the leaderboard. Choose the line that will give you the strength to guarantee your confidence. Sunline.
All right, welcome back. Wrapping things up here on a Tuesday. BTL, Luke Shrader from Side Pop Fishing. Thanks for jumping on. We have a lot of action coming up in the next week and a half, kind of sandwiched between the two signature events in the sport, which would have been the Red Crest on Lake Norman that just concluded on Sunday, and the Bassmaster Classic that kicks off March 23rd through 25th. Folks, if you, I always like look up like this. So I have an at a glance 2023 yearly planner. If you want to make your life so much easier, get one of these things. They're like 5 foot by 3 foot each month. And then you get expo markers, like the dry erase markers, except I get the wet erase markers because then it actually stays on. And when you are filling it out, doesn't hit it with your palm. But take different colors for whatever different tournament trail you're fishing, or whatever you have going on in your life. But I can look at it, and I've got like blue for the opens, green for personal travel, red for business travel, which is like ICAST and the Bassmaster Classic, and then like a different color for local tournaments. I have it organized based on my travel days. Makes your life a lot easier. Then you just boom, couple tacks, put it up on the wall. And for a tournament fisherman, when someone's like, hey man, you want to jump in this tournament or you want to do this, you can just look at it and be like, no man, I'm on Grand that weekend, or I'm traveling to ICAST in Orlando that weekend. For someone like me that's a little scatterbrained, so to speak, the at a glance 2023 yearly calendar from any of your Office Depot, Home Depot stores things is an absolute lifesaver. All right, the MPFL on Pickwick. That's kicking off this week. They're going to have a bunch of cool coverage with that, with Fat Cat and Luke Duncan. Interested to see how a smaller field size, higher first place payout is going to turn out. And then also the BPT on Cherokee and Lake Norman. That should be a slugfest. We've seen Cherokee get won a number of different ways earlier in this year. Small swim baits, Demiki rigs, spinner baits, crankbaits. So that is the 18th through the 23rd. So it will also be interesting to see how many of the BPT guys get eliminated from that event and then just ease over to the Bassmaster Classic. I know there's some guys on the BPT that have major launches that are going on with maybe products or vessels that they have had a major part in that are taking part of the Bassmaster Classic. As far as the Bassmaster Classic is concerned, the one time that we do have knocked down is Brad Hallman and I will be at the Beatdown Outdoors booth at 1:00 on Saturday afternoon. And I think before that and after that, Frank Scalish and I will be in the Sunline booth. So I think it's like a conglomeration of like Sunline, Big Bite, Denali, Spro. That whole thing is going to be in like one big booth in the main hall. So Saturday, tomorrow, or on Thursday, Frank will have all that nailed down. But definitely Saturday at 1, Brad Hallman and I will be in the Beatdown booth. There will not be any BTL merchandise at the Classic this year, but I do want to show you something that just went live that I'm pretty excited about. Got to pull up the website again, and that would be the new St. Jude fundraiser shirt that just went live this week, with 100% of the proceeds going to the Dick Hiley St. Jude Bass Classic. Last year, the BTL viewers and listeners really showed out, and just through donations and t-shirt sales, we did over $5,000. Our goal this year is $10,000. We had the St. Jude fundraiser last month in New Prague, Minnesota at the Giesenbrauer Beer Company. And a lot of BTL and Crappie Chronicle fans came out to that, raised almost over $4,000. So our goal is to hit 10,000. I'll have Adam on next week. I know he's traveling. He's actually in Oklahoma now, fishing the Toyota Series on Grand. But I'm pretty pumped at how this year's shirt turned out. You can actually purchase it now. I don't have a link up to it. You have to go through the merchandise store. But let me share the screen right here. There it is. The black with the green. It's got the sideway, or the bass into deal. It says Bass Fishing Saves Lives with the BTL and the St. Jude logo. Like I said, you guys did an amazing job. 100% of the proceeds here go to St. Jude. And that it's a really good nonprofit to work with. There's also available in green with the Bass Fishing Saves Lives, but we went a little bit bigger, a little bit bolder. Has the BTL logo on it. It's a really soft quality cotton tee, $24.95. So that will run through the end of April, but donation wise, it's a 4.3 ounce 60/40 combined spun cotton polyester tearaway label on it. So I was super pumped to see that go live, and then I'll have more about that. So tomorrow, special show. Still working on the morning show because you've got a lot of guys that are getting ready for events or practicing for the BPT, which takes out a lot of the Red Crest interviews. But 8 p.m. Central Time tomorrow, the man, the myth, the legend, the guy who went out on Lake Eufaula and posted on his Instagram, caught like a 15-pound limit in his first 6 casts. Did not catch one on the first cast and then went. Quality. Ben Milliken will be geared up. He said he will have hot takes on his first Bassmaster Open. You can watch it on his YouTube channel, the first portion of it. But he's going to be a part of BTL as the year progresses, along with Miles Berghoff, along with a number of, along with Bobby Lane and Ish, and a number of different anglers. But tomorrow, BTL at night, 8 p.m. Central Time. Ben Milliken talking about his first Bassmaster Open experience, and then also a regularly scheduled show at 8:30 a.m. and then Frank on Thursday. So that's all we got for today. Interesting show, a little bit of a business show. We'll talk to everybody tomorrow. See ya.